From the Sugar Shack. Woohoo! And the Sugar Shack World Headquarters, it's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, Zach Triggs teaches us how to drift. They know there's a trick to it. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to attempt it in my car, but if it's somebody else's car...
come on, man.
No,
I wonder if he's got a passenger seat in
We're going to find out. Jeff has a segment on the evolution of auto transports, the car haulers. Conrad has the racing calendar and the car clinic, and later we discuss the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Stay with us for hour number 3 of the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks so much for joining us for the return of our live show. We've been off for a couple of weeks. Mr. Mars put together a great best of in our opinion anyway.
2 weeks in a row.
Well, no, because the second week we had the Granbury
replay.
Replay. So it was just an actual best of show. What did you think of your work?
Good job, Mars.
Well, I mean, I kind of get. I have.
Are you tearing up?
Yeah, sorry, I'm so happy. No, yeah, I have fat fingers, so I learn things every time we do something.
Is that what you're blaming it on? Fat figures?
Absolutely.
Put them on a diet.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at any rate, thanks for all your hard work. And
Thank you.
That's a lot of editing. Okay, we're going to talk to Zach Triggs. He is the Fat Cats Racing spokesperson. Now, Zach, if you didn't know that, we've just given you a new title, and we hope that you appreciate it.
I do.
Okay. Well, I thank you for appreciating
the appreciation.
The appreciation. Tell us what Fat Cats Racing is.
So Fat Cats is just a group of friends. We're all based out of Houston, Texas. We all met. Majority of us met just through cars in general back in 2010 or so, and we just stayed. We kind of became a family now. That's all kind of centered around racing, and we're all still doing this dumb hobby that we call drifting.
Well, it's not a dumb hobby. It is, for us old guys, we're going, well, why are they doing that? Because it's loss attraction, a controlled loss attraction, basically. I mean, that's what it is.
It's dancing with smoke.
It's dancing and it's smoky. Yeah, it is. But there's a true art to it. The one part, and I guess you guys have a name for it, is where two of you get on the track together. And then it's kind of like a dance without hitting the other car. Let's see how close we could get to each other's car and drift.
Match.
Drift around. Is it a race?
It's not a race. Whoever gets to the finish line first does not matter. Ideally, you don't want to pass each other because that, what you mentioned, tandeming, 2 cars next to each other, you're correct. The goal is to stay as close to each other as possible without hitting.
Do you get points?
So it's kind of judged, though, correct?
The easiest way to compare drifting to maybe drag racing or racing is this is the figure skating of the automotive world.
Yep, I can see that.
Anybody can go watch a figure skating competition and be like, wow, that person that jumped up in the air and did those spins, that was really cool. Or the people that figure skate, they know exactly what spin they just did and why that was so hard. It's the same thing here. Anybody can watch 2 cars next to each other and realize that that's probably difficult. But once you're a driver and you understand, it's just on a completely different level.
Okay, so let's talk about the car. So, because I don't understand, I may ask you some stupid questions because of my ignorance about it.
Would
but
be the first time.
It wouldn't be the first time, and I'll own up to all of that. But there is a tremendous amount of suspension work and also in the steering aspect of it. We'll get to the engine in a minute, but let's talk about how the thing goes around the track, basically in a controlled spin, if you will, because it doesn't spin, but the wheels certainly do. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
It spins sometimes with me behind the wheel.
Okay.
But I mean, I've got adjustable front upper, front lower, rear lower control arms. Everything's adjustable just about. Of course, aftermarket coilover suspension. I've had this car for 15, 16 years now, so plenty of time to make all types of adjustments. But which you guys might find this odd, but my car's set up for the most traction in the rear I can get, because then I can go the fastest in drift.
Gotcha.
So I've got near zero negative camber, a little bit of toe in. I want the car to be fast, but I'm still spinning the wheels to go even faster.
You want it fast, but yet controllable with your accelerator and brake.
Exactly. So
Okay.
alignment is a huge, huge, huge deal. I've got a friend that aligns my car that's a genius when it comes to suspension stuff here in Houston. And you know, an alignment can make the world of a difference on the track.
I can
And even
understand
tire
that.
pressure-
Well,
tire
so
pressures are
let me
huge.
ask you this. Now, I saw a video where a drifter, but they had a lot more work in the front end of the car, so they could turn the steering much sharper than a regular stock car.
Yeah, so my specific car, I like to keep the angle. That's what we refer to it, just your steering angle. Mine's pretty simple. Mine has just stock knuckles that we cut and shorten a little bit, and that increases the steering angle pretty good for stock components.
Why
Like,
is
you'll
that?
see
Why is that important? I don't understand.
It gives you more room for error, so you don't spin out and stop and make all your friends crash into you. But the more steering angle, the more the car can get sideways while still, moving forward.
And also faster, I assume, too.
Somewhat. The more angle you have, the slower your car is going to go generally.
Sure.
If you shallow up a little bit, we would call it, you're going to go a lot faster. But ideally, it looks the coolest if you have the most angle. And that's what we're here for.
So what's more important, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive?
Front-wheel drive would just be completely impossible. All-wheel drive, you need like 1 million horsepower to spin all four wheels, and it's just kind of a whole different ball game. Every car that you'll see at a drift event is always going to be rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
All right. So that narrows the field unless you actually modify the car from front wheel to rear wheel drive.
Which is pretty rare to see unless you're at like an absolute pro level,
Sure.
no budget type racing.
I got you. So is there a certain make, model,
That was
or
my
type
question.
of car that is more affordable for us to get into the sport? What do we look for when we're trying to find a car that we can convert to a drift car?
The basic criteria is obviously rear-wheel drive, manual, and has an e-brake. And emergency brake, one that you can yank. I don't want a foot brake. That's not going to do me any good.
Right.
Those are the real 3 criteria. And the spotlight right now, currently with the market, is the Nissan 350Z. They're still lower than $10,000. They drift great. They have power. They come manual. They're just good cars right off the bat.
Okay, let's talk then about the power. And clearly, these are not stock engines.
That is true. So my car is a stock engine from its version in Japan. In Japan, this car is a Toyota. It comes with an inline-6 with pretty small twin turbos. I've bought one of those engines from Japan and swapped it into mine, and it's been going for probably 8 years now.
And what model car is that?
This is a Lexus SC300. It's like an early mid 2000s or early 90s to right at 2000.
And how did the engine swap go? Because what was originally in that, a V6?
So it wasn't inline-6. It was a 2JZ GE, so no turbo. And again, the engine that I got came in this car in Japan. So drop in, I just had to extend the wiring harness to go to the other side of the car. So I extended it like 18 inches, and then everything plugged right in.
So it wasn't out of sight to do. So what are the modifications to the car have you done other than the steering, and you've lowered the suspension? And
there's definitely a lot of lowering. I will say the majority of us that drift, and especially in my circle, as much as we care about performance, we love how the car looks.
yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Yeah, you got to have the look.
It's
Yeah,
not going to drive good if it doesn't look cool.
yeah, I'm with you, brother. Yes, absolutely. It's got to look good.
The 3 criteria generally for drift cars is a bucket seat is probably one of the number 1 mods I'll tell someone to get, because in drift, you don't want to be doing this.
Of course.
You want to focus on your driving.
Yep.
So bucket seat, coilovers to get rid of the body roll, and a differential locked up. So for me, a welded differential.
Oh, so you've actually welded the side gears in, So it's beside PosiTrack. It's just a locker.
Exactly, all the time. That's the poor man's version. The ideal version is you have like an actual limited slip differential. I just put all my money elsewhere.
Let me ask you though, with that welded, there's a tag on that car. Are you still driving that on the street?
I do. Yes. I don't drive as much anymore. It doesn't have AC, so try not to drive it. But it is perfectly road legal. It drives just fine.
And how does it go? How does it go around corners with that locked up rear axle back there?
It makes a lot of noise, especially in parking garages and things like that.
It's a little hopper, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So people think it's falling apart when I pull up somewhere. Generally.
What organizations are there in Houston that allow you to drift?
So I'm a part of a group called Knuckle Up. They host events at a track called Speed Sports, which is actually a go-kart track out in New Caney, so a little northeast of Houston. And we do events every 2 months or so. Locals or anyone can apply to drive and get accepted. And then I'm a part of a bigger group throughout the country called Final Bout, which is a competition-based thing, but it's team-based competition. So my team of drivers, there's 5 of us. We go out and try to do the best run together and get judged upon.
Zach, does it have a passenger seat in it?
It does. It absolutely does. My girlfriend is pretty much always with me whenever I'm out on track.
So let me ask you this. Do you drive it to the event or do you trailer it?
I do. The track, Speed Sports, is only about 20 minutes for me. So
okay.
I hop on 99 and I'm there in about 20 minutes and then I hopefully drive home.
And the other question I have is, do you have a tire sponsor?
I wish. That is the biggest thing. I don't know if you can see the big stack of tires over there, but I have a 2-day race coming up in September and I've got, I think, 8 brand new tires ready to go for that one.
What kind of tires do you use? Are they slicks?
They're not slicks. They are kind of a performance tire. Currently, the tire of choice throughout the drifting industry, as far as grassroots, is the Kenda KR20.
It's a sticky tire.
They're just the best tires, hands down. They'll last me way longer than any other tire.
So wait a minute. Wait a minute. I would imagine that your time with the tire is a lot different than my time with tires. So what is a long time in your world?
On a good day, if I control myself and I let the tires cool down, which I usually don't, I can get about 50 or 60 laps out of one pair of tires.
So your 2-day event, is that the reason you need all those tires, 8, just to get through those 2 days?
But those are just the rears, right?
Ideally. Yeah, the fronts are good. I can usually last like 6 months on front tires. No issues there. But yeah, I'm kind of overshooting this event because I'm going to be trailering my car to Wisconsin.
Oh, wow.
But not have enough tires.
Yeah.
So, Zach, do you change your own tires? Do you have a tire changing machine? How does that work?
If I would have bought one of those 10 years ago, I would have saved myself a lot of money. But unfortunately, I'm still paying just mainly because I don't have a place to put a whole tire machine. But yeah, so I have a buddy, thankfully, that he kind of helps me, but not really. He has a business to run. I get it.
So, but yeah, you go to Wisconsin. What do you are all those wheels going to have, tires going to have wheels on them for the event?
So I have one extra pair of wheels. I think they're about right there.
Yeah.
So thankfully, most races, if they're big enough, will have a tire changer on site.
Oh, okay.
Either I can pay someone or do it myself.
How much do they charge you to change tires?
At a racetrack.
When we're at the track, probably 15 or so each.
$20 to mountain balance. That's all it'll pay.
Just like work. Yeah, I wish I could limit them, but somewhere in there.
Do they offer you road hazard?
It's kind of difficult to get the tires off, just the way they're built. So they don't like
no road hazard warranty.
No road hazard warranty. I wish.
So do you also do the events that they'll have out at the Houston Police Academy?
So there's a couple of different drift organizers here in Houston and then Texas in general. There's, of course, my buddies Knuckle Up. There's also Lone Star Drift, which is it's been around for 15 years now. I haven't been out to Police Academy in probably 2 or 3 years, but I have driven in the past, and it's really fun. It's a great track.
Yeah, because I know they've got an event coming up in August and again in September.
What propelled you, so to speak, into drifting, as opposed to drag racing or racing on
Road
a
courses
oval tour?
or-
Yeah,
yeah.
It's
oval.
the chicks, man.
That ain't none of that.
I wish I could say it was that, but there's not really much in it for that scenario. But back in high school, when I first got my car, it was just the internet. I don't really know exactly my first sight of it, but YouTube, something of that nature. I caught wind of it, and I was like, I'm going to do that. And it took me probably 6 years to get this car. Like, I think I was 22 or 23 by the time I could actually show up to a drift event and be like, all right, yeah, I'm ready to go.
Okay, so this event that you've got coming up, how many other cars are going to be in competition there?
So it is a team-based event. So you just my team. We're taking 5 cars. I believe there's going to be a total of around 100.
Oh, wow.
We're not all on track at the same time. Throughout your 8-hour day, you have basically a set time when the competition is, and the rest of the day is just have fun.
The rest of the day is changing tires.
And getting in line to get on the track.
And so this event where you have 2 cars on the track at one time, what actually, is there any at fault if somebody gets dented or you crash or you both hit? What goes on there?
I think it'd be like any form of racing, I hope, at least where it's kind of gentleman rules. I've only been in one major wreck myself, and it was a buddy, and it was my fault. I spun out in front of him, and then we ended up kind of kissing like that. And he immediately got out and like was almost in tears because he was so sad that like we hit. And I was like, man, it's my fault. So it's just a gentleman's agreement.
Very good. Very good.
I still find it fascinating. Now, are there a lot of spectators at your event?
Ours are definitely growing over the past couple of years. We started our events during COVID. It's definitely gotten better, but like final bout, the one I'm going to in Wisconsin, there are usually at least 1,000 to 1,500 spectators there.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that if I were that age and I were into that sort of stuff,
That'd be the
I
thing.
would be going to the event. I wouldn't have a car because I couldn't afford it.
Well, my experience drifting was the parking lot at Bear Mountain State Park in my old Chevelle, just on the snow.
No, mine was on an icy, snowy street in Detroit in 1975. I started drifting then.
Yeah,
Way back then.
Mars, I'm afraid to even ask you.
My experience was at the
Trying to-
test track and pushed the wrong button on a Viper and lost the traction control, but I figured out real quick what drifting was all
A Viper
about.
had traction control?
Yeah.
Not the Viper that I drove.
Not the early ones, the later ones. Might
maybe
have.
the later ones, but
Well,
the early ones certainly didn't have it.
I got
Ask Harold Gunn about that.
I got told real quick, don't ever touch that button again.
Yeah.
So, Zach, have you had your car on a dyno to know what the output of that engine is?
I tend to spend all money on visuals. I haven't spent money on my engine in a long time, but it's stock in lighter terms, so it makes about 300 horsepower.
Do you have a rev limiter on it?
The factory one.
The factory
So
one.
I honestly, I don't know what it is. I think it's probably 7,500, 8,000.
Well,
So-
you would
so
know it if you
this
hit
is-
it.
Oh, I hit it a lot. I just don't look down.
Gotcha.
Yeah, look down. Get too busy looking forward. So
Exactly.
obviously there's some expense in doing this. So I'm guessing there are purses for the bigger events to kind of help cover all this.
No.
No.
I mean, even at the top level of drifting, I've heard that the cash prizes are somewhere like $1,000 to $1,500, which doesn't do anything.
Not going to
But more
Wisconsin.
so about how you can sell yourself to sponsors. That's the only way you can make
That's
money.
where it is. All the sponsors. Yeah, I know how that is. Don, I happen to think he was saying that his girlfriend rides with him a lot. You could go for a ride with him, and he would never know the difference by the time you started
You'd
screaming.
be screaming like a 7-year-old girl.
Ray would put on those red pumps and be proud. I
and
can tell
look
you that.
good in that green car.
Absolutely. Zach, it's great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you for the education.
Yes.
Hey, stay in touch with us and let us know how the Wisconsin event goes, will you?
Thank you. I encourage anyone from Houston, come out to Knuckle Up drift events. We're at Speed Sports. You can come up with your own helmet, ask me for a ride along, ask any of the drivers. We'd love to do it.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Good luck, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hey, the In Wheel Time race card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production.
right.
Conrad.
Well, this weekend, NHRA is in Sonoma. Next week, August 11th, they're in Kansas. August 17th through the 19th, they're at Brainerd. Did you Did you like Brainerd when you went? I hear it's an animal house.
The most fun on the drag racing circuit is
It's
Brainerd, Minnesota, with the zoo.
Yeah,
is what they call
it's
it.
a pretty
oh
crazy,
my God!
pretty crazy
it
event.
is. It is.
And then the U.S. Nationals is always a Labor Day weekend, and then the 2 weekends after that is Maple Grove, and that'll be the first of the playoffs at Maple Grove. NASCAR was in Pocono last weekend. Formula One is in the Netherlands tomorrow, and then they'll be in Italy next week. IndyCar is they've done all their Iowa stuff, and IndyCar is headed to Laguna Seca,
Cool.
Works
which
for
will be
me.
a fun event.
Yeah. All right. Jeff has a feature this week on auto transports. And if you wanted to get into a business back in the 1950s,
Even earlier, yeah.
or even
Well,
earlier.
earlier,
Yeah, so we'll let you do it.
Well,
Have at it.
And it's not just car transports. There's ships and there's airplanes that transport too.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll get started here with this. I'm going to let it roll. Alongside the automotive industry came the automotive transport industry. Railroads were a primary means of transportation for moving vehicles across long distances. However, it wasn't the best option because it was slow and costly. Over the years, there have been some significant developments from the very first semi-truck in 1897 right through the automated auto transport system available today. Growing number of new cars meant that the automobile manufacturers needed to find a way of efficiently delivering them to customers. Driving their vehicles long distances wasn't the practical way to do it. The solution, Mike, involved loading cars on the top of a flat cart that was attached to the top of an engine. The flat cart was attached to the back of a modified truck, and hence the world's first semi-truck was born. One such manufacturer was able to design a trailer that pulled a 2-ton truck. It was able to haul 4 cars at a time, which was groundbreaking for the transport industry at the time. One of the first folks to develop a transport was Ransom Olds in 1901. That's for you,
Olds.
brother.
Yep.
Okay, on the rail side of it, during the 40s and 50s, many railroads were transporting cars across long distances using automobile loading assemblies that allowed them to fit as many cars as possible into a boxcar. However, it wasn't too successful, and it was very, very expensive to do. So toward the end of the 50s, cars were being transported mostly by rail and were shipped on highway auto carriers and could be transported 10 cars at a time, basically. So on the air side of it, up until the late 40s, air transport's being used for transporting people and goods mainly. However, the demand quickly increased, transporting cars across the pond, so to speak. Air transport companies started transporting vehicles as far back as the 40s and early 50s. On the ship side of it, and this is where it gets kind of interesting too, during the early 60s, cargo ships also played a part of the vehicle transport. They were very successful at the time, but they couldn't carry large number of cars at that time. However, something better was needed by the U.S. military. The U.S. military contracted with the Sun Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company in Chester, Pennsylvania, to design a new type of motorized vehicle.
To try and get their ship together.
Yeah. A carrier that was purely for transporting cars across the ocean was invented in 1973 by K-Line in Japan. It was named the European Highway and could carry up to 4,200 vehicles. Now, thanks to technology, we can now do things quicker, more efficiently, and cheaper than ever before. Auto transport industry has been so slow, or it hasn't been slow in making most of the technology. In many ways, the innovation at the core was the auto transport industry that you get today. I'm waiting for this last one. There is a famous transporter that actually sank 250 miles off the Portugal coast. What was the name of it, Mike? Well, the name of that ship was called the Felicity Ace. That was the vehicle that
was
sank.
recently.
Yes,
Yeah.
most recently it had 4,200 vehicles, and that's the picture of it right there. Insurance estimate was $155 million just in the auto cargo side of it.
Lamborghinis and Audis and
It
and
doesn't
electric
matter. It was
car caught fire.
Well,
$155 million.
In that vein, a
And
crew
they couldn't
member
put out.
In that vein, a crew member aboard a large cargo ship died as a fire engulfed the ship off the coast of the Netherlands. The Dutch newspaper, whatever I can't pronounce
Yeah.
that, reported that the ship was carrying 2,857 cars, of which 25 were electric vehicles. This is a story from this week in Automotive News. One of the EVs may have caught fire. Dutch news agency ANP reported, citing an unnamed Coast Guard official. Mercedes-Benz said about 350 of the vehicles on board the ship were Mercedes, adding that the company was in contact with the transport provider. The fire began on Tuesday night on the Panama-registered Fremantle Highway, which was en route from Germany to Egypt, forcing several crew members to jump overboard. The Coast Guard said the Fremantle, which had departed from the German port of Bremerhaven, had been towed out of the shipping lanes and could sink. Hasn't sunk yet. The 10-year-old ship, measuring about 656 feet in length, can carry as many as 4,000 cars, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. The incident was the latest of several fires in recent times on car carriers. Earlier this month, 2 New Jersey firefighters were killed and 5 injured battling a blaze on a cargo ship carrying hundreds of vehicles. Fire destroyed thousands of luxury cars in the Felicity Ace, which you mentioned, which sank off the coast of Portugal's Azores Island in March of 2022.
Yep.
Yeah. So it seems as though up until this point, we haven't had many cargo ship fires with cars on it. But now all of a sudden with the onslaught of electric cars,
You're hearing more about it.
yeah, and runaway battery fires, here we go.
Yep.
Well, I'd asked Jeff when I knew what he was doing if he had a picture of the Chevy Vega rail transit system. And what they did was they drove the Vegas up to the side of the vehicle, headlights in, and then these ramps lifted them up vertically. So the headlight, they tie them down, and the headlights were down and the taillights were up, and they loaded them into the side of the rail car because they could carry more of them that
Like
way.
putting books on a shelf.
The weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, I want to remind you that the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeart Radio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com, and podcasts. They're at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around, and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6, or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWillTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel.